All right, so you can see this is what was the output. If you put 75, you get a grade of C. If you put 80, you get B, and so forth. Now, one thing to notice, if let's say I'm going to include again here 80, okay, let's say 80 here or 82, just to show you what's going to happen here. What's going to happen, it checks this case, and this case says B, and it stops, so it doesn't continue checking on the next one, even though there is no break. There is a break already embedded, but the first time it finds that conditions, it gets out. All right, now let's take a look at looping. Looping is very similar to C again. So you can say for var. Now you don't need here brackets for a loop, so you can say for var, just like an if statement, for var I equals 0, I less than or equal to 10, or less than or equal to 10, and then you can say I plus plus, and you have to have those closing and ending bracket. Okay. Now this is very similar to other languages, except you have here like an integer, and then you will have the bracket around these two, okay, parentheses. So what you can do here, you can say print line value of I. I want to show you another feature before we print line. So if I say here, if I just leave it as is like that, and then, well, it doesn't show you anything here, but let's say x equal 10, or x, let's define another variable here, var j equal 0, okay, and then if I say j equal j plus I, all right, which means that add I to j every time. Okay, see this it doesn't like that sometimes. Do you see this? Because there is no space between the equal. I don't know why. But notice here, it says 11 times. Now this loop is going to go from 0 to 11. So it tells you how many times that this loop will be executed. And then if you click on this, it shows you the timeline. So this is the value of j that it will change. Okay, so from I, remember, I was 0, so this is your timeline, 0, 2, 4, 5, until 10. And it will show you what's going to happen to the value of j, which is a nice tool. It shows you what's going on in your loop. Okay, this is called the timeline. Now, what you can do, of course, you can print the value of j, and then I don't think the timeline would show. So you'd say print line j equal j equal, and then put slash j. Okay, and now if it is executed, but let's check in here. Does it show me? Yeah, it's showing me both. It's showing me the timeline, and it's showing me the value of j, what's going to happen to j. All right, so this is a for loop. Okay, of course, if you are interested, you can always put the bracket here, and that was, if you're used to it, that would work. And even if you want to put the semicolon after these, it will still work if you want to still use semicolon. Okay, so that's no problem. All right, if you're used to it. Okay, there's another for loop, same kind of stuff, but here you can say for I again, for var r, var I. Now here you can say n. I think n exists in many other languages, but you can say here a range. So you can say 0, 0 to 100, okay? And you can do the same thing here. Let's put j equal to 0. And then you can say, what do we got here? Condition. Let me see if I don't need the var here. Okay, I didn't need the var here. For I in 1 to 100, and then you can say j equal j plus I, for example. Okay. So here it's I don't need to say the condition and then how much do I increment. Automatically it will increment by 1 every time. Okay. So if you do this, if you look at the timeline, here's your timeline. All right. This is your value of j, and this is the value of I. Okay. Of course, in the previous example, you can not just, I mean, I'm assuming you know a little bit about programming. You don't have, you can say whatever value, whatever, you can increment by whatever value you want. So you can say I equal I plus 2, for example. So every time you add 2 to I, all right? And notice the number of times is less, okay? So that is your curve now. This is your value of I. Okay, and let's do the while loop. The while loop is pretty much the same as C and other languages. So you can say, but again, without the bracket. So you can say, again, you can say j equals 0 or equals 0, right? And then you can say while j less than 20, okay? And then you can say j plus, here you have to change the value of j inside the loop, okay? All right, so this is a while loop. Pretty much the same as the other one, and this is your value of this is what the value of j will happen to it over time, okay? There is one more thing you can do with this, of course, the break. You can say if j greater than, well, it doesn't make sense here, but let's say if j greater than 10, I want to stop, okay? Or let's just do an equation. If j plus 20, j plus 10 is greater than, this is just a simple example, it doesn't mean anything, okay? Equal 15, that means it's going to do it only 5 times. Then you can do break, okay? What does a break do? A break, it actually kick you out of the loop, okay? So it doesn't have to finish the loop, okay? So the actual value of j is only 6 times, okay? It's, instead of 20 times, it's 6 times. So if you run it, it is already ran, so you see that here it's only 6 times. All right, so that is pretty much about for loops and while loops. Now, of course, you can do a lot more with these, with more complex logics, but this is we're covering only the basics. Now, one thing to know here, this range, it does not have to be like integers or whatever. It could be an array of objects. It could be a dictionary where you can actually you go through every element in the array, and then I would be whatever object that you have in the array. You have to cast it in here, okay? That is something to keep in mind, and then as we do more examples, you'll see that, okay? All right, this is it for the conditions and looping controls statements in Swift language, okay?